Welcome to Gain and Glow, a healthy lifestyle podcast with me, Vanessa.
And me, Crystal.
Thank you for joining us on this week's episode.
Ooh, episode 6.
Episode 6. I was totally confused. I thought it was episode 5.
I did that last time.
I feel like these days, every day just kind of blends together.
Yes, true. You're like, what is time?
Exactly. I say this all the time. Time is a man-made construct. And I'm learning this more and more and more as we are on lockdown.
It's true. Life is literally just moment to moment. And we need to try and be in the moment as much as possible. Which is like, it's funny because when you're losing sense of time right now, and so what a better time than to focus on being in the moment.
Exactly. And I will say this time, having so much of it on my hands now, has given me the opportunity to jump on some bandwagons via the social media train lately, like specifically drinks. Thankfully, I had a chance this week to try out that new whipped coffee, and I know that you did as well.
Yes, so good. It's so simple too. And it's funny because in all the Pinterest pictures and Instagram pictures, everyone's posting it like it's whipped on top and you have whatever milk or cream or whatever on the bottom, they drizzle it and all this stuff. But you really have to mix it in order for it to taste good, or else it's like straight caffeine and straight milk.
Yeah. Yes. That's one thing that none of the recipes, because I know that you did it, and then I was like, okay, I'm going to do this too, so I can try it too, so we can talk about it. And so I was looking at the recipes, and none of them say to mix it. They just say to whip the coffee and then layer it on your cream. I was like, okay. And obviously, I tried the whipped coffee by itself without the cream, which I kind of liked it. It reminded me of coffee ice cream, which is my favorite ice cream. So I loved it, actually.
I bet you could just blend that, because I mean, all it is it's like 2 tablespoons of instant coffee, which I think we both use Folgers because it's like the easiest instant coffee, and then 2 tablespoons of hot water and 2 tablespoons of sugar, and then you blend the heck out of it. As Bob Ross would say, you beat the devil out of it. Beat the devil out of that brush. I've been watching a lot of Bob Ross lately.
Have you?
He's kind of been creative.
That's awesome.
He giggles every time he says it too. It makes me giggle, and so we're just laughing.
We're all friends. We're just laughing with Bob Ross. Happy trees. Just a couple of happy trees.
Yep. So you blend this coffee for 5 minutes, and I made a mistake the second time I made it because, well, the first time I didn't make it. My roommate made it, and she gave it to me, and I was like, I'm gonna make this. And then she used heavy whipping cream, and so I thought she meant she used it with mixing it. And if you put anything else in there, it will not froth. It just stays liquid. I was using all the blenders. I had the little tiny electric frother. I'm just like, and then I upgraded. It's just tiny little vibrating going, and then I used the hand mixer, which is just like a whisk that's electric, and it's just nothing. And then I upgraded to the full on 2 handle paddles, hand blender as well, I guess. And I was like, all right, it's been 10 minutes. This isn't frothing.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure the recipes I saw said 2 minutes.
Yeah, 2 to 5. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah, but guess what, you guys? Guess what? It still tasted good. It just wasn't as pretty.
Yes.
It wasn't frothy and pretty. but it still tasted the same. And then when I did it right, I actually tested it too because it says like you can, like I have roommates and stuff and a dog, and I don't want to wake everyone up in the crack of dawn if I decide to wake up early. And so the recipe said that you can save it in the fridge for up to a couple of days. So I made a batch and then I put it in a Pyrex and I put it in the fridge, and it held up pretty well. Like I only had to stir it a little bit, but it was still pretty like frothy. So that was cool. And then I
Oh,
put it on top of almond milk, and then I have a liquid vanilla bean syrup, coffee syrup. And so I put a little bit of that in there and I stirred that bad boy up. It was so good. So
yeah.
good. I felt fancy.
I don't mind. So with mine, I kept saying, everybody kept saying hand whisk it, and so I
Yeah.
was like, oh, I'll hand whisk it. And then I was getting all this stuff together, and I kept saying more. Like a couple of my friends on Facebook posted that their arms were dead after hand whisking it, and so I was thinking about that,
Yeah.
and I was like, I'm gonna whisk it with an automatic hand mixer. So I just
Yes.
used my hand mixer on it.
Yes.
I was like,
Smart.
I'm gonna play this right, right? And then I was gonna put it on top of just oat milk because that's my milk preference is oat milk. That's what I drink. But then I saw a guy on the internet said that he did ice and then his milk and then put it on top of
Oh,
ice and milk. Yeah.
yeah.
So, but then I was like, wait a tick. I have coconut coffee creamer, like coconut milk based coffee creamer because non-dairy. And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna put ice and then this like delicious creamer on it and then this whipped coffee, and I mixed it all together and it was like so sweet. It was so sweet with that creamer, and I'm like, this is probably why everyone kept saying use milk
Yeah.
because it gets that sweetness. I took a huge drink too. I was like, oh god, so sweet, so sweet. But definitely had to mix the two as well, like mix the
Yeah.
coffee, and then I threw a little oat milk in there with it to
Yeah.
kind of cut it.
Balance it out. Yeah.
Yeah, to
Cut
balance it.
it.
But when I was making my coffee mixture, I added in cinnamon and
Mm.
vanilla to the actual whipped coffee mixture. Oh, it tastes. I had my husband try it, and he actually said to him it tasted like French toast almost because it kind of had like that
Oh.
cooked taste because of the
Yeah, it's
coffee.
very strong.
Yeah, super strong. But then it had the cinnamon too. It was so good. I'm making
Oh,
it
that's so
again.
good.
I'm 100% making it again.
Yeah. Yeah, I sprinkle cinnamon on every kind of latte.
And cinnamon, that is one of those things that it's so good for you. What is it? Anti-inflammatory. It helps your immunity. Like it does so many random little things. If you should literally put cinnamon anywhere you can sneak it in, sneak it in.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Are you pulling it up right now? It looks
I
like
might be. You know what's funny? I heard it was good for me, and I was like, I could sprinkle some of that on my coffee, and then I didn't go back. I never looked back.
yeah. Yeah, once
But
you
yeah.
go cinnamon, that's it.
Oh, side note about cinnamon. Everything you said was true. Uh,
Yes.
Anti-inflammatory, possibly helps like cut the risk of heart disease, can improve your sensitivity to like it can help balance like your insulin.
Oh.
Yeah,
Oh
it's
yes. Oh.
like a regulator. Yeah, so that's pretty. Yeah.
Yeah. It helps your
Uh,
blood sugar levels. So
oh
if
yeah,
you're
lowers blood
if you're
sugar.
hypoglycemic.
Yeah, diabetic too. You're sensitive to sugars. And you know what? If we're having coffee and we're putting like sugar in our coffee, like we're gonna go up, and we're gonna go up not only from the caffeine but from the sugar. So it's like balance a little cinnamon.
Throw a little cinnamon in there. Makes it a little fun for your tongue. Also good for your blood.
Yeah.
It's a whole body party. Stupid. I don't know why I said that. It just came out of my mouth. I was like, no.
You want to know something else about cinnamon? Is there was a dog I saw online, and it was a bulldog, and her name was Cinnamon.
Also good
It's
for your blood
true.
pressure.
Yes, dogs, petting dogs, good for your blood
Dogs.
pressure.
Boom.
Yeah, and she was so cute. She rode in a sidecar along her owner's like motorcycle, and she had her own little headphones to like block out the noise.
No.
She's
Oh,
so
I love it.
cute.
I
So
love it.
cute.
If
Cinnamon's good for your
anybody
soul.
actually And if anybody actually listens to us, please send us pictures of your animals.
Yes.
That would be fantastic. If you're
Yes.
listening, send us pictures of your animals. You can send
Do
them to
it.
us on Instagram,
Yes.
I think, right? People can DM
Yeah.
us there.
Yeah.
Gain and
Shoot a
Glow the
couple
podcast.
DMs. I mean, otherwise you're just gonna keep seeing my dog, and then I'm sure Vanessa's dogs will make an appearance as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Once it's funny, I always want to post pictures of my like youngest dog, Farley, but every picture his
Just,
testicular region is just
it's just
so
exposing himself.
it's prominent. It's so prominent. It's like I'm like I feel like this is
Give him
not
those,
appropriate.
give him one of those selfies, just
Yeah,
a little.
I've been working on just the neck up.
Yeah. He is
Oh
really
my
pretty
gosh,
though. Farley is a
he
pretty
is.
boy.
Oh yeah, and all this time home getting to spend with him. It's funny because he was really bonded with my husband, and they because he goes on a walk with him every night, and I've always been the one that's like structure, go on your potty walk, and then in the kennel for food, and then out of the kennel for second potty walk. I'm like rules, rules. But now that I'm just like I'm home, I do whatever I want now. It's like every minute we're snuggling and hugging and we're all bonded now. I get to learn his personality so much more.
Oh.
It's the best.
I heard that a lot of animal shelters like around the country too are being like emptied because people are adopting
Yes,
right now.
I
And
love
that's so
that.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. And people are fostering, which is so cool
Mhm.
because fostering is so important for most animals. I feel like a lot of people think about adopting as like the only option you have to help animals in shelters. And most people are like, well, I'm not going to adopt because I don't know, they might not be in the country long enough, or they might have a lease that's coming up, or like whatever, short term issue they have. But fostering, especially like right now when a lot of people aren't going anywhere and they have a few weeks to spend, that's all it takes to foster an animal that might need that connection and get out of the shelter for a little bit.
Yeah.
I love it.
Love it.
Yeah, I saw the article too. One of them, I think it was a shelter in Florida. They've never been empty. They've since the day they opened their doors, like how many ever years ago, they've been full, and they're finally empty for the first time.
Aw,
I
that's so
love it.
cool. I had one of my friends reach out about possibly adopting from another friend of mine in Southern California who used to run a rescue organization. But she doesn't anymore. But the ones that she recommended were like out of animals, and then
That's awesome.
the county is like out of animals right now. I was like, that's so
That's
cool.
awesome. I love that.
Yeah. Um. But
Anywho,
yeah. Anywho,
back to
back
drinks.
back to drinks. Yeah. Little segue. Silly
But
cinnamon.
yeah, that coffee. Also, the whipped coffee. I was googling. I was like, I think is it called Dalgona coffee?
I don't know how to say it, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. I was like,
Yeah,
is
it's like
that right?
Dio. What?
I was worried
Like,
about
is that
saying it on
right?
here just in case I was wrong, but
Yeah, no,
there.
that's the general word. Yes,
Yeah.
I think it comes from Greece. I think it's like a Greece coffee beverage.
Is that it? I was wondering where it originated. Like, to me, it sounded like something that somebody would come up with like cleverly in like jail. You know?
Yeah. Definitely. You're like, okay, I got three ingredients. Like, what can I do? If
Yeah.
I
How
just
do you make
beat it.
delicious coffee?
Yeah. Yeah. Dalgona. Yeah, so I made that and I loved it, and it was like super uh caffeinated. But and I normally like drink like a cup of coffee like a day, and then like I've kind of been lowering it to like half a cup a day because I realized that I'll just keep drinking coffee because I like the feeling of drinking warm coffee and I like the flavors. And then I'm a person who's like always putting stuff in my coffee. It's not like it's not like uh it's never just black coffee.
Yeah, no. I tried that for a while and I was like, this is not for me. I like my coffee to have, like excitement.
Yeah. Oh man, I was totally wrong. It wasn't Greece. Place of origin is South Korea or India, apparently, for the coffee,
Oh,
for the whipped coffee. Yeah. What do you know?
super cool.
Even New York Times wrote an article on it. That's hilarious. Just recently, April
Yeah,
16th.
it's everywhere. It is everywhere right now.
Yeah, but yeah, I normally drink coffee like all the time, but lately, like I think we've gone through like a lot of like kind of phases right now with like working from home and change, like all this change happening. It's like adapting to being at home and then being happy with it, and then being like, oh, how long am I gonna be here? And then being like, oh, this is fine, and then just trying to create a routine. But I realized that like my anxiety was pretty high, and it wasn't just my anxiety. Like I started getting headaches, and then realizing that there's like a tension headache, which is mostly caused from stress. There's also cause for like body posture, and then it impedes your sleep. And then if you don't sleep well, then you're more likely like to have the high stress, and then roll it on to the next day and next day and next day. And I was like, oh no no no. So unfortunately, caffeine is something that can make the headaches worse because it constricts your blood vessels.
Of course.
And I'm like, no. I was like, it's my morning routine. I just created this routine. No, coffee's been a part of my life for a long time, but
We've had a very long relationship.
we've had a long relationship, and it's really hard to let it go. So I turned to my dear friend Google and I said, help me avoid caffeine. And it was like, girl, I got you. So
Google.
thank you, Google. Google led me
Thank you, Google.
to Bon Appetit's website, and the article grabbed me right away because it's titled "How to Quit Caffeine Without Becoming a Miserable Person." I'm like, this is what I
All
need.
right.
All right.
Okay, sold. That's how you grab somebody with a title, right there.
Yeah, yeah. You're like, this is gonna be hard. Let's help you make it a little easier.
Right. I'll be honest. We're all terrible when we quit something we love.
Yeah, exactly. Change is hard.
Hard.
So this is written by Sunny Motifiore. I hope that's her last name. I butchered it. Motefiore, just so we give her some good credit, Yeah, so step 1, ease into it, which I'm like, I'm stuck at home. I have nowhere to go. I have no, like, how am I going to ease into this? And the recommendation was like, do it when you're on a vacation. So I was like, all right, I'll do it on a weekend.
Right.
Because,
you go.
the less possibility of having to interact with people, like don't have to do emails or work with coworkers and, anything. So I was like, all right, here I go. And then number 2 is to keep a list of all the ways that giving caffeine up is improving your life. And I'm like, I don't know right now because this is very hard for me. But they said, things like better sleep, which I was like, yeah, I'm looking for that. Saving money, which I'm like, well, I've been buying my own coffee lately, but sure. And then less calories. And I'm like, not for me.
Right? We don't know what I put in there.
And I'm like, you think that I'd have less calories without my coffee, but I'm sure I'll put them somewhere else.
Exactly.
But in the article, she cited Megan Suchi, who's a Washington-based nutritionist, And her quote was that when our perspective is more positive and connected with our values, it can actually help us to feel less crappy about going through it. And so if you really like think about it, it's kind of like with everything. You're like, if I focus on the positive reasons that I'm doing this, that I'm more likely to stick with it than thinking I'm depriving myself. And so number 3, tea. And I was like, yes, I'm doing that. I can do that. Like I actually like tea, but I also like to put stuff in tea, like honey, a little froth, a little whipped cream, a little cinnamon.
Yeah. Dress that tea up.
Yeah, I've been there's a couple tea brands that I like and that I kind of go to a lot, and it's the Tazo tea, which I think is Tazo. Yeah, pretty sure I'm saying it right. And then the yogi tea, and the yogi tea is cool for I like it a lot because I think that it uses things like uses ingredients like licorice and stevia leaves to like help sweeten it. So you get like a tea, you get the tea flavor, but then you also have other herbs and spices in there to kind of make it like a balanced, tasty cup instead of just being like, oh, this is just tastes like leaves. Like green tea kind of just tastes like leaves.
Right. Or some tea just kind of tastes like hot water, where you're like, this
Yeah.
just kind of tastes like hot water, which I'm not a big fan of. So,
And yogi tea's got a sweet tangerine positive energy one that I really like. It's just it kind of smells like a mandarin orange, just like a nice warm smell of an orange, and then it's like you got that good smell going, you got the citrus, drinking it, tastes really good, tastes smooth, little fruity. And then their bedtime, they have a sleepy caramel bedtime, and I like to fancy that up every now and then because it does have like a hint of caramel, but it's not like drinking a cocoa. Like it's not close. It's not a latte. But I like to put a little whipped cream and put some cinnamon on it, and then maybe a dash of honey if I so please.
if you're feeling a little crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, tea's great because it's like it's got antioxidants like everything else we love, and it's from the
Yep.
earth. It's a little more natural. It's a little less stimulating because like I think a cup of tea can have anywhere from like I think like 15 to 25 milligrams of caffeine, which is not anywhere close to a cup of coffee. So I think a coffee is like at 125 or so. So you could drink a couple cups of tea, kind of, get you through that feeling of missing your cup of coffee. Get a little bit of
Yeah.
energy. But I did notice like this week, it doesn't give me as much energy, but also caffeine's been giving me like the really jittery energy that once like my happiness falls away, I just feel really jittery and anxious and just it causes me stress. So also yogi tea has a honey lavender stress tea that I think I've given you a sample before because it's so good. I love
Oh,
it.
is it the blue package one?
It's
Or purple?
that's purple. Yeah, it's purple.
Purple. Yep, I have
Yeah.
had that one.
Yeah. But it's nice because you as soon as you think that you're feeling a little stressed, you drink it. Like if you go, like I think the whole motion of getting out of wherever you are, going to make a cup of tea and coming back, like you're kind of giving yourself a break, and then you have some like nice tea, like aroma, like their tea smells so good when you make it. So I really love it. And then they also donate to charities, and out in India is there's a town that has 2,000 tea farmers and their families, and they harvest all the black tea that yogi tea uses. And so they helped rehabilitate um, like not quite a hospital, but like a health center that is the only access for those people, like because they live so far out in India. And so they like redid the roof, they got screens on the windows, they put in new toilets, they put in like a space for new moms and gave them like supply of like tea that they can drink, like even after being a new mom, but also setting up like a new mom health center in the little hospital area. And I was like, that's so cool.
Wow.
Yeah, and then they also provided a lot of like school supplies for all the schools in the area there too. And they have so many other things that they do, but I thought that was the coolest. Like we should all be able to stay healthy.
Yeah, and good for them for being a large company who gives back to, the people who are really putting in the hard work to produce their
Mm-hmm.
items.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We need more of that. More of that. More of that.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of like that's been like my biggest thing this week is oh wait, sorry, not done yet. That was only step 3. There's like 3 more steps. Uh, Finding a productive substitute, which I think kind of goes in with step 3 because it's tea for me, but also that feeling of warmth that you get from coffee, like you can try to recreate through either just like having a hot shower or putting on like comfy socks and like drinking or even drinking like an infused water. Like one person, the person who wrote the article, Sunny, said that she got through it with mint and cucumber infused water. And she said it was like a really light, refreshing, like tasty water. And so she was just chugging water instead of having her coffee, which is like, we all know it's not the same, but it's also nice to like have something that is like aromatic to kind of, give you that sensation like coffee. We all love the smell of coffee, I think. just remembering the good old days. But and then like lastly was I guess there's only a couple of more things. It was for preparing for the days, like about 3 days of caffeine withdrawal headaches. So I was already dealing with tension headaches, and I was like, I don't want to cut out caffeine completely because then I'll have a caffeine headache on top of the tension headache, and no. So I've been drinking caffeinated tea, and so far so good. Like my mood's kind of been semi-level, but never getting like that as up as I want to get with coffee. Not as energetic as I want to be, but it's okay. We're getting through it. That takes me on to my second topic, with adapting with change.
Which is something that we've all had to do recently, is adapt to quite a bit of change.
Yeah, for sure. I wanted to start off with a quote from George Bernard Shaw. Progress is impossible without change, and those who cannot change their minds cannot change anything. And I thought that was pretty dope.
That's a dope quote. That's a dope quote. I feel like dope quote of the week.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, I was like, that's so spot on when you think about it, because change is always happening. It's spring outside. Like even though I haven't gone outside very far, like I can see outside and I see all the trees blooming and I see all the baby birds and I see all the like new bees humming around and so change is always happening, like no matter in what form. And you really have to we think like we find comfort in things that are constant, like our routines and like just things that we know will be there. It's like you get mad when you try to look for something and you're like, I know I put it there, and then it's not there, and you're like, why is this happening? It's like, it's okay, you're okay, it's gonna be okay.
Everything's gonna be okay.
But yeah, it's funny because whether we like realize it or not, it's, we have to constantly adapt. It's like, my dog, even though he has a routine, there's some days he wants like more attention, there's some days he wants less, and what am I going to do? I'm not going to give him attention. Like, come on. And those are little things that we do that it's like we're adapting. Like, so it's important like to stay in the moment and to focus like your mindset on being positive, so that like when change comes and you focus on handling it in a positive way, mostly with like a positive attitude, then you'll become more resilient to dealing with the impact of change. Because like whether you want to deal with it or not, it's affecting you, and you're going to be left in a situation that you'd be uncomfortable. And I think, uh, yeah, it's just really staying positive and finding the things that are good about where you're going. Because I know that uh, when you're stuck in a hard situation, like I've been like dealing with these headaches for like a solid week. I'm like, why is this continuing? Why? I don't like it. I don't like it. And it's like, well, it's not going to change anything. And you want change. Like, I actually want to feel like I want to feel better. I want to like, so what do? I focus on all the little things they can change. I'm like, all right, fine, I'll cut off coffee. All right, I'll rest more. Fine, I'll turn off the computer. Fine, I'll stop looking at my phone. All these things we've already talked about that we should be doing is that it's necessary. It is. And I thought of like, I was thinking about people who have to deal with more change than I do. And it made me think of like different types of professionals, like athletes, doctors, journalists, teachers, mothers. It's like those schedules are so demanding, and you have to like you have to react on a dime when change comes. It's like you have a kid, if they scratch their elbow, you have to jump into like, to bandage mode. Like you're like, I'm a bandage, I'm gonna clean you, I'm gonna sanitize you, like we're gonna be okay. Like you don't just sit there and go, oh, why did this happen? Why today? Oh my God. You're like, then your kid's over there crying. You're like, hello. Like we have to react in a positive way to help the change and like get us through it. And there's there's yeah, there's so many people, like there's so many more people out there that have to deal with harder situations day to day than we do. And I think, putting that into perspective, putting into that perspective is really important to see your situation clearly and then also help move yourself forward. And I like this little quote, I am always now. And that's by Deepak Chopra. And that's like, I'm always in the moment. Now is always now. Like now is only, that is all there is.
Yeah. It's so important too. It's funny because some changes seem so big and some changes are so tiny that we probably don't even notice them. And we don't realize that we've missed things, or that something has passed us by, or that we've even experienced one of the good changes until after it's done most of the time. And it's so hard to not get caught up in the monotony of life and rigid schedules and stuff like that, and lose your place in the here and now. It's really easy to like, it's almost like losing your page in a book. You forget all of a sudden where you're at, and you're like, oh yeah, I have to reconnect with why I have this headache, and it's change is such an interesting thing, and there's good change, there's bad change, but you'll miss it all if you're not present and experiencing it and getting through it.
Yeah. And when I was dealing with the headaches at the worst points, which unfortunately was towards the end of the day when you're trying to relax and you're trying to like wind down and go to sleep, I kept thinking like, what can I do to get rid of it now? And it's more of, what can I do so that this doesn't happen again? How do I stress less? How do I, calm myself when I get stressed? Because it's funny, because I think stress is always thrown around as being negative, but it's a normal response with dealing with like changes and challenges. And in short term, like you feel more motivated under pressure to use that stress to like get something done, like to hit a deadline, to like finish your run, like, and do all that, and then you let it go. But I think with stuff like tension, it's literally build up. It's just build up of all these things. And so as much as these slowly built up, you have to slowly release it all. And it's like, for me, it's like, okay, meditate a little bit more. read your book a little bit more. Get off your phone a little more.
Yeah, that's a big one right now. It's so hard to not
Yeah,
be on that phone.
it's so hard. You have the news, and then you have all your like connectivity apps, and then you have your like, I want to look at Pinterest. Okay, now I'm bored. I'm gonna look at Instagram. Okay, now I'm bored. I'm gonna be on Facebook. And then most of the people are posting Instagram to Facebook, so it's all the same stuff. Or they're just reposting all the news articles that you already read that day. So you're not really missing out on much, okay?
No, it's totally fine if you put the phone down.
Yeah. And it was funny to me when I was looking at ways to deal with my stress, and also focus on moving forward on ways to just deal with this change better. I came across an article on lifehack.com.
Oh, already into it.
Yeah. And it's literally called Dealing with Change. And I'm like, man, these articles are just popping out at me. And the biggest part of this article that popped out at me was that focusing on living a balanced and healthy lifestyle is literally the same things that you need to do to help strengthen your immune system. Which is like, we all want to do that right now. Like, we're all super focused on like our health, whether or not we are like actively working on our health, which can come and go.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I know I've been there. I've been up and down this roller coaster of change. But some of the things you can do is, you guys all know this. You know this. But you know what? I'm going to say it because you need to remember it and you need to try and do it. Okay? Talking to me and Vanessa as well. We're doing it, okay? Eat a healthy diet, high in fruits and vegetables. Duh. How do you get most of your vitamins? In your food. Food is energy. Exercise regularly. I mean, semi-regularly is great too. I mean, improvement's improvement, okay?
And
Don't be hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Exactly. Movement is movement. I honestly, with these headaches, I was like, you got to take a break. And I'm like, I don't want to go outside. It's raining. And you're like, well, you need to do something. You can walk up and down the stairs. No, I'm not walking up and down the stairs. Then you need to take a dance break. And I was like, done.
Done.
I turned on an upbeat song and I was like, oh yeah, I've been dancing. And then it's funny because like, if it makes you laugh, it makes you feel better. And if it doesn't make you laugh, then you still burned some calories and you like increased your blood flow and woke yourself up a little bit. So win-win.
Yeah.
Reduce caffeine and sugar.
Oh.
And I'm like, I'm working on it, okay?
In the process.
I'm in the process, yes. Avoid cigarettes, drugs, and if you're drinking alcohol, moderation. I'm like, oh, we all know that, right? Yeah, sure. Getting adequate sleep, which is super important. And obviously, I mean, we know how sleep affects us. Like, it can make or break your whole day. Practice meditation regularly. And literally, like we both have Apple Watches, and so we get that little alert to breathe, and it literally just vibrates to breathe for a minute, and then you're done. And then you're like, hey, I did it. Check that box off. It's literally that simple. It's like meditation doesn't have to be a whole thing. Like, no, it's just being in your moment and breathing.
Yeah, even a minute of it is beneficial.
Exactly. Take time out to disconnect from technology. Working on it. Yeah. Minimize stress. Learn how to relax and have fun. And I'm like, okay, I'll work on that. I'm gonna put that in part of my planner. Learn to relax and have fun.
That one's been tough for me, honestly, relaxing and having fun. I feel like, but I'm sitting literally amongst all of my responsibilities. How can I justify relaxing and having fun right now?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's a weird time. Like I feel that way too. Like and I'm feeling really up and happy, and I'm like, I shouldn't feel really up and happy right now. Things are going on. The world is
Yeah.
crazy. And I'm like, well, no, like, it's not going to make anything better if I'm miserable. So I need to like enjoy when you're feeling good. It's kind of funny. I was thinking about it when I was reading. I remember like as a teenager, I used to just like shut my door and be like, okay, I'm reading or I'm playing with my makeup or I'm listening to a CD, and like that's all I focused on. Like I wasn't worried about school, I wasn't worried about the news, I wasn't worried about anything. And I think like kind of centering to focusing on the moment can help you be more relaxed and be more aware of how you're thinking and feeling, so that if you are starting to tilt into a certain way, you can catch yourself. And it's like dealing like having like all those people like I mentioned earlier, like athletes and doctors and stuff, like they all have to practice, like they have to repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat and repeat in order to do a good job. And I think we need to train our brains like every day in little ways in order to be a little bit better.
It's we're and much like everything else, everything's constantly changing, we're constantly changing, and we have to continually adapt to being better people as well, and that takes constant evolution. We can't just always like, you'll always be a work in progress. There's never
Mhm.
just like a point where it's like, oh, I'm perfect. That's
Mhm.
first of all, that's not possible or realistic. And also, why strive to stop?
Yeah. And it's funny because like I've like I've dealt with my weight as a thing for myself, as an issue for like a long period of my life. And so I look at people's account like Instagram accounts and stuff, and the people who've lost like all the weight and are still like posting on Instagram are focused on other things now. They're talking about how it's not about losing the weight, it's about your mindset, because your mindset is what like helps you to do the things that you want to do to be the person who you want to be. And then they're focusing on either like training other people and spreading their knowledge, or they're focusing on toning, or just like work, like getting stronger and being more physically fit instead of like what they weigh. Like it totally, like you get to that point and then you're like, well, what's next?
Yep.
So
And I
it's
think
funny because
all
even something like that, like you think you would hit a goal and you'd be like, all right, cool.
right, but then after that goal, you have another one, and then you can have another one, and it's so important. It's so important to shake that up and keep going forward.
Yeah, I really like all the people who I follow that post the like they didn't usually post their workouts, but they would post about how like they did a workout or they did a run or whatever, and there was never really like videos on that. They were posting all these little home workout videos. Like one girl is using a pillow to do Russian twists, and then just like the where you do like the sit up all the way from laying down all the way to sitting up, and she's just like holding the pillow. And then there's a guy who's got like a square, like he's got this little tiny. He's like a he's always in the gym. He's always in the gym lifting these heavy weights, and he's on this little square pad outside, like the only space he has, like next to his apartment, doing burpees, doing squats, like doing just physical weight. Where he like you normally think you're like, oh man, you must be struggling not having those heavy weights to lift around and stuff. But he's like, nah, work with what you got. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, okay. No excuses, huh? Okay, okay. And lastly, things to do for your health to help you live a balanced and healthy life and also strengthen your immune system is to connect with others. Because, spending time with people who have a positive impact on you, like, brings joy to both sides. And then you carry that joy out into the world.
Yes. And
Yeah.
and it's important right now too, when most people feel so physically isolated, to be able to make those connections. But I, I think there's this huge push right now that everyone's like, I'm gonna be on, House Party or Zoom or Microsoft Teams or whatever, and everyone's video chatting, like,
Mhm.
and everybody wants to be virtual, and even we've experienced it with like work, where they're like, let's have a standing work one, and it's like, well, be mindful of who you are connecting with virtually.
Yeah.
Connect with the people that bring you joy. Don't
Yes.
overstress yourself connecting with people who maybe don't bring you joy.
Definitely. And I'm just gonna add a little side note here is a good way to document all these great things that you're doing is the journal.
Oh, would you look at that? Another reason to journal.
Yeah. So you get things off your mind, you help track your mood, you track like and based like your mood alters from day to day, from circumstance to circumstance, based on your sleep, based on your eating, your exercise levels, you know, maybe the time of the month, maybe the moon cycle, like who knows? And so when you track that stuff, it's really easy to glance back on and be like, this is why this is happening. Okay, so I need to make these changes. Or, oh, this is working great. I should just keep doing things like this to make myself feel my best.
And it's really important because, I mean, we all experience right now, we're all experiencing, I heard this thing, and I'll try to see if I can find who quoted it, but this is not me. I did not come up with this. I read this. It says we're not all in the same boat. We're all weathering the same storm. So
Oh,
even though
yeah.
this experience is global and everyone everywhere pretty much is having a similar experience as far as like what's happening, we're all in different boats. We're all feeling different things. We're all experiencing different effects of what's happening, and you can't just blanket fix it. If you're not keeping in check with yourself, and if you're not keeping track of where you're at mentally and how you're feeling, and like you said, if you're not journaling and tracking, I felt really good this day, maybe I should keep doing that, or I didn't feel great this day, what did I do, or what can I change? If you're not staying in touch with yourself, you won't be able to weather the storm as well in the boat that you have. And it's so important to look at the toolkit that you have and try to overcome. And it's funny, I'm glad that you brought up the workouts and how people are changing up their workouts and all of that, because that's actually what I wanted to talk about this week as well, was feeling stuck with at-home workouts and having a total derail of fitness as it once was, like as we knew it. And it makes you think of that song, was it The World, oh my gosh, basically it's the gist of like the world as we know it is over, like this is what
The
we
end of
know
the
is,
world as we know
I think it is. I think it is.
it.
But it's funny because I was feeling really like not necessarily demotivated, but just stuck. Like with my at-home workouts, I was like trying so hard to push through like this weird fatigue and this weird block I had, and then also feeling like, oh, I have all these things I have to do and the time isn't matching up right, blah blah blah. And I realized I was doing a lot of research, and I was like basically trying to mirror what I had before, when I was waking up super early, going to the gym every day. I mean, my 6 a.m., 7 a.m. kickboxing, and I was trying to mirror that. I got a kickboxing bag and I did all the things that I needed to do to have the same thing here. And I still wasn't sticking to my schedule as well as I could have. After a few weeks, I kind of started to burn out. And I was like, oh my gosh, obviously I'm not dealing with this change very well. And so I started kind of poking around, and I touched base with myself. Like, I'm not necessarily feeling like I don't want to work out, because I definitely was wanting to move, and it makes me feel good to move and work out. But it was like, oh, it's not exactly the same. And that's hard to deal with when I've fallen in love with one specific fitness practice, for it
Mhm.
to all of a sudden now I don't have my instructors in person. And as much as they've tried to take things virtual, and as much as they've tried to be inclusive with people who don't have bags and all this, there's still a difference there. It's still not the same. I'm still not expected to be anywhere at a specific time, and if I'm not there, it's not physically noticed. I'm still not going through that thing of I have to be up at this time so I can get out of the house at this time. I mean, we live in the PNW. You want to go anywhere, you got to talk about an at least 15-minute commute to get there. So it's like not allocating that time out, not having a time block allowed me to be a little bit less rigid and a little bit more lax. And then that led into I'll take this day off and then this day. And then next thing I know, it's been a week since I've done my kickboxing. And then in my mind, that means I haven't worked out. But I wasn't taking into consideration the hikes that I was going on and the extra dog walks and the resistance band, just might as well do a quick butt workout while I'm doing the dishes. Why not? Like that. That I wasn't counting it. Like for some reason in my mind, I was like, well, if I'm not putting in an hour long or more of intense where I can barely breathe and I get that, that mental buzz from it, it doesn't count. But it totally does. And I started poking around and I got an email. It was like the universe heard my brain, and I got an email and I think it was from Shape magazine, and it was basically this woman went from working out all the time, like 6-7 days a week, and then boom, now in lockdown she doesn't work out at all. Like it, and how she had to cope with that. And it really got me thinking and kind of poking around on ways to kind of, like you said, adapt and adjust to the change, but also still stay focused on fitness and all of that, because that's part of staying mentally healthy. So a few things that I've been trying to practice more of to stay on track and to really still feel like I'm doing something fit and moving around and stuff, and to get out of my little funk, was first and foremost understanding that I'm not going to recreate the gym at home. I have to adapt to the gym that I have at home, not strive to try to match it to what I had before, because it's not the same. It's not going to be the same, and I'm just going to feel like let down or whatever. So adapting to what I have at home and really getting my mind around this being the new normal, doing it on a different schedule, actually giving myself permission to do a nighttime quick 15-minute ab circuit and a morning run, instead of thinking that I have to put everything all together. Like it's so much harder to book out an hour and a half to do all of the workouts, everything all in once, than it is to go, okay, I know that I'm gonna have an extra 15 minutes on my break from work. I'm sitting at a desk anyways, working remote, but I'm still home sitting down at a desk.
I think you cut out there.
Oh, on my side it looks like it's still recording.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear you for a few seconds.
Oh no. Well, either way. So basically, anyway, just giving myself basically just giving myself permission and being chill more about not having a normal workout schedule, just kind of incorporating it into my new normal. Incorporating movement. Movement is movement.
Exactly.
And then I found other ways, because before it was like not having anybody to kind of like cheer you on and egg you on is kind of, I don't realize how much I actually want that. And I'm not a competitive person. Positive reinforcement, it feels good no matter what. And I'm not competitive, so I don't really compete with other people at the gym, like in kickboxing class and stuff. But I realize that I'm really competitive with myself. So if somebody's watching me, I'm obviously not gonna wimp out and like I'm gonna go for all 15 burpees instead of going to 10 and being like, oh, my thighs hurt. So I had to find ways to kind of hold myself accountable. And a couple people from the gym, they do like little Zoom chats and like Zoom workouts and stuff. So kind of playing with the idea of going a little bit virtual accountable, or actually telling someone I'm gonna do this, because then it's like later on I want to be able to say no, I actually did do it. And then making it fun has been huge for me, because I feel like the biggest change that I've experienced personally, just me, my boat, is I have a lot of responsibility at home. I have pets, I have a child, I have a job, I have a husband, I have housework. Like some days, honestly, it feels like that's all I have is responsibility. And I started letting fitness blend into being one of those responsibilities. And when I really was touching base with myself and trying to check in and feel out like what I was feeling, it felt like I was staying so rigid, and I was putting so many barriers on myself and expectations on myself that it turned fitness into a responsibility instead of something that I legitimately enjoy and that actually helps me recharge, unlike my
Yeah.
actual responsibilities. And it's funny
Yeah.
that you brought up dancing, because I actually reached out to my gym and I was like, first of all, the best thing about being on lockdown and no one being able to see you is you can literally dance like no one can see you because they can't. So
As long as
I
those blinds
asked,
are
yeah,
closed.
exactly. Close those blinds. Or if you're like me, if you live right next to the woods, it doesn't matter. But I started trying to find fun ways to work out instead of being like hardcore where I want to throw up workouts. I was like, oh, well, dancing. Like Zumba is one of my favorite things to do. I went online and I found the Fitness Marshall. He is so much fun. He posts videos on YouTube and they're like just one song long, and they're like current mainstream kind of pop songs, and he does these little fitness dance routines to them, and he's got like little backup dancers. One of them does like modifications, the other one does like kind of her own thing, and it's really really focused on getting you moving and getting you tied to the beat and not so much focused on the exact steps. So if you kind of don't know how to dance, it's okay, because he kind of encourages you to do your own thing. And the other night, I stood in here in my bedroom alone, turned on YouTube on my TV, and watched probably, oh gosh, 20 of his videos. I danced for like an hour or two. I
That's
lost
awesome.
myself in the dance. But it was
That's awesome.
huge. It was such a huge thing because I finally it was honestly, it was one of those first times where I let go a little bit of like the hardcore expectations. And I think anybody that's put themselves on a long-term path of like fitness, like you and I both have, where we didn't just cut, like, it's not one of these things where it's not a 15-day diet to slim down for this, or I'm
Yeah.
getting ready for I'm not getting ready for anything. I'm trying to find a way to live a
Mhm.
long healthy life and make my weight loss and my muscle gain and all of that last a lifetime. And I realized, I was like, this is actually almost a good thing that this has happened, because it's shown me that the rigidity and the rules I've put on myself in the event of a massive change or in the event of a massive life disruption are not strong structurally for my long-term goals.
Yeah.
I'm not getting ready for an end goal. This is the end goal. This is the process.
Yeah.
So dancing and changing it up, and then kind of playing with the other fitness items that I never really use, like resistance bands and all of that stuff. I've
Yeah.
started to kind of actually realize this is actually a beautiful, what is it, blessing in disguise. And I feel so much more motivated now than ever as far as my fitness goals go, and all of that, just kind of switching it up, making it fun, making it convenient, and like sneaking it in at anywhere I can. It's
Mhm.
made a huge difference.
That's awesome. I love that. I did my dance breaks this week, and it was so funny because I just so happened to like I just decided to listen to a different station on Spotify, and then found like three songs that I just loved, and then I was like, I just want to listen to this all day, and I just took a dance break, and like after 3 minutes of dancing, straight dancing, you get your heart rate up. And then and you laugh at yourself, and then you feel a little better, and then you go about your day. And then, like you said, like it's so important to fit it into where it works for you, because I mean, whatever works for you is the best option. It's not about anybody else; it's about yourself.
Yeah, exactly. And I really want anybody who listens to us, either now or ever, whether it's during a time of huge disruption like right now, or even just in life in general, it's so important to understand no matter the storm, we're all in our own boat. And you have to be mindful that some people's boat is worse than yours, and or you may be worse than other people's boat, but looking outside of it is not the way to solve it and handle it. It's looking in and figuring out the tools that you have or the tools that you don't have and trying to figure out how to develop them, and using that to just continue on, because this is a marathon. This is not a sprint, this whole life thing we're living.
Yeah.
So
Definitely.
hopefully everybody is doing okay, but if they're not and they hear this, maybe maybe you could try to use some of these tips and tricks to jump back on your fitness journey.
Yeah. Know that you're not alone. We're all in this together in separate boats.
Yes, we are. Exactly. And you should definitely subscribe to us and follow us and listen along, because we're committed to continuing this boat going forward no matter what jumps in front of us.
Right? We're adapting all over the place. We just started using a different like recording software to try and make the sound quality better than our last episode. So
Yeah.
hopefully
We're constantly working and progressing forward.
Baby steps, you guys. Baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. And I think with that, thanks for tuning in, guys.
Yes, thank you. I hope you had hope you got a laugh out of it. Hope you keep on going. Progress, not perfection.
Yes. Yes. And until next time, guys, thank you.
Bye.
Bye.